Hey everybody, welcome to my channel and welcome back to Coaster B Studios. I actually made the privilege of making myself a little logo there based on the Universal Studios logo. Astratron had the map for a few days and made some really fantastic dinosaurs for my Jurassic Park riverboat ride. Today I'm going to be building the visitor center from Jurassic Park. Now, I've looked at various photos on Google of the visitor center, and there's some variations in colors and the design, shape, and also some of them had a helipad on top of them as well. I actually thought that was really cool, so I've gone with the helipad one and just kind of combined the colors together, what I think matched my Jurassic Park area the best. Just before I get into the build, I am actually having like constant problems with recording. I don't know why. I've tried various programs and things. I don't know what's going on. I bought a new computer and it runs the game really great, much better than my older laptop, and I really have a lot of fun actually playing the game. But unfortunately, when I'm recording, it obviously does put a lot of stress on the CPU, and it does get quite a lot of lag while recording, although when I'm not recording it's absolutely fine. And the time lapse right now seems to be a bit jumpy as well. I'm not really sure why, but I'm sorry, I do apologize for that. I'm trying my best. I just haven't quite found the right way of recording. So yeah, I'm working on it. So the visitor center, I'm going to put this as a blueprint on the Steam Workshop as well, so you could also put this into your park. I used quite a few mods for this one. I had the Future and Space mod for those like round domed roof pieces. I had the textured walls and path covers, and I'm not really sure what else I used right now off the top of my head. But I had all the pieces placed down on the floor just next to the build, which makes it way easier when building. You can always just grab the stuff off the floor. I basically looked at a picture of the visitor center and then decided what pieces I think would work and look good, and I just kind of went through the menu of all the pieces and kind of selected what I thought I would use, and I put them on the floor there just so I can use the tool picker and go back and forward and build that way, which seems to be quite a cool method, very efficient and saves a lot of time. Don't have to keep searching for pieces in the menu. So basically how I built this, how did I start? So basically I measured out the space using paths. I counted how many tiles big this needed to be in the space that I have in my park. So I wanted to build this in another map because sometimes I find doing that's actually better. I get less overwhelmed when you have like everything around you in the park and you're trying to build something new. It can be quite overwhelming, and also I always often find that maybe you don't put it quite in the right spot, so maybe building it separate on a separate map and then saving that as a blueprint and then importing it into the map. You can replace it exactly where you want it. So the space that I had was about 10 squares times 10 squares, and I figured I'd put it next to the end or the finale splashdown of the river adventure ride. Dan actually said to me that he thought I should put it next to the river and have a seating area. So that's kind of what I planned. But actually, when putting it in, I actually made this whole thing a little bit bigger than I hoped. So there wasn't quite enough space for a seating area at the back. But I definitely am going to figure it out, work around it, and get it to really tie in nicely to the rest of the area. But yeah, I definitely seen pictures with this with a green roof and also with a straw roof. And so I've kind of gone for like a yellow because I have a lot of green roofs at the moment in the Jurassic Park area. The flying dinosaur coaster that I've done is green. All the station will be green, and the queue line has a green roof and there's green domes. So I wanted to have a little bit more of a variation of color. So I've gone with this kind of sandy yellow color, which I've seen in a few pictures of the visitor center, and also the river adventure ride. I kind of did the station in yellow as that for that one. So there's a bit of variation in color. I'm just basically putting down pieces. I'm looking at the picture for reference and just kind of placing pieces down where I think they kind of go, what I think looks best. Again, trial and error, but I decided to do a time lapse today. As you know, I spoke about it in the last episode about how I was kind of doing more kind of live footage and showing you around kind of progress and stuff. And some of you said you like that, and some of you said you do like to see some time lapses as well. So to get like a happy compromise, I'm actually going to show you some time lapses of some parts of the build. For example, right now I'm doing this visitor center, and I kind of knew what I was going to be doing. I knew exactly what I was building, so I felt like I could actually record the process of this and it wouldn't be too much of a back and forward, scratching my head kind of thing. Very often I actually sit there and I build a building, I don't really know what I'm building, and I sit there and I do so much trial and error, back and forward, deleting bits, remaking bits, and scratching my head, looking at pictures on Google, etc. for inspiration. That can get really tedious to watch, and also it puts me under a lot of stress when building, and I just want to build and have fun. So building something like this where I could just copy from a reference definitely is a lot better for me to record. So I think a time lapse for this kind of stuff really works out well. And so yeah, I hope you enjoyed the build. It took me about an hour and 36 minutes, so I've just tried to compress that down for you into a time lapse. And the problem I had with this was roof textures. I really wanted there to be a lot more texture on those roofs, and there's really not. They're very bland. All the roofs in the game are very bland unless you do your own custom roofs or you have some of the pirate roofs from the mod set. But to get around some of that texture kind of issue, I just kind of put some rings on the roof just to kind of break it up a little bit. They're the same color, but just add a little bit of texture, some ridges onto the roofs. I made this also very difficult for myself because I actually decided to build this on a diagonal. And as you know, building things in Parkchat on the diagonal are not quite as easy as building it on the normal grid. Obviously it is on the grid, but just the kind of the entrance, doors and things all on the diagonal. I did that because that's just the kind of position I need it to be in the actual area of the park. But it is definitely a challenge doing things on diagonal. Sometimes I really, shoot myself in the foot with doing that. But it works out okay. The back of it is very kind of bland and plain. This is why I decided to add the helipad on top of it, just to kind of break up that back bit. Because the thing with diagonal is there's not very many windows that you can use on diagonal. There's maybe one from Shy Guys. I think it's from the Shy Guys 1 set, or it might be from Shy Guys 2, it's Shy Guys 1 I think. But there's one diagonal window in that, which is one different sizes but same design. And I wanted to use these big windows, and unfortunately there aren't any of those on diagonal. If any mods are watching this and you want to make some diagonal windows, feel free, because I would love to have some more choices in diagonal windows. Diagonal everything actually we could do with more of in the game. Sometimes building things on diagonal becomes so difficult because you can't even have a pillar that's a diagonal. I actually ended up making some pillars on diagonal using a smaller pillar from Shy Guys 3 and stacking them up in like stacks of 8, making like a chunky pillar that I got around it that way. But I mean, it'd be easier if there was just one piece you could use that was diagonal. So moving on now to the top of the visitor center and the back section with the helipad. At this point of the build, I was getting kind of tired, and sometimes when I'm building, I really enjoy it, but towards the end of a build like this, I kind of start getting, a bit like tired and trying to find all the pieces in the menu and stuff. Like I was using diagonal roofs and things from Shy Guys 4, and sometimes I lack detail when I get tired and I want to just do a quick fix, and this is kind of what I felt like with this back piece. It didn't really turn out as great maybe as I could have done it, but you know what, it's not too bad, and I don't want to concentrate too much detail on one little bit when you're going to look at this as a bigger picture, as the whole land of Jurassic Park and not just as one building. So I just kind of threw some walls down, some roofs, made the helipad, and called it a day really, saved that as a blueprint. So at the end of the time lapse, I'm just going to go in and show you some real time footage of the visitor center, and I'll add a link down below as well for you guys to go and download this on the Steam Workshop. And just while I'm wrapping up the time lapse here, be sure to go check out Astrotron's video that he did for me recently. He shows you the process of him building the dinosaurs for the river adventure ride. It's really interesting, really cool to watch. So he did a really great job as well, and you can see all the dinosaurs that he built over there. So I've placed down the blueprint of the visitor center now into the map, and I'm really happy with the placement and where it is. I was a little bit afraid that it was a bit too close to the river adventure, but now that I've added some rock work etc around it and some foliage, it actually looks really cool, and I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really good. I don't really think I could have done it in another way, and I kind of like the placement, how it will transition into the next area of the park, so that's really cool. Just showing you some clips there of the back of it with the riverboat ride. I used Astrotron's Jeep there that he made for me just to make a bit of theming there at the end as well. And I also added one over here, crashed into the fence on the queue line for the river adventure. And I also just want to give you a quick overview there of the kind of entrance area to the Jurassic Park area. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all next time for another episode here on my channel. Bye!